some point in the 2010s, became a bit of a bandwagon to adore Sigur Ros, or however you pronounce it correctly. I'm not precisely certain. But I'm interested in the perspectives of those who were hearing it in the earlier 2000s, before, it was I'm into Icelandic post-rock now. It's like they're one of the biggest bands in the world, Anyway, there's these perspectives. From Faust and Bulbous, August 18th, 2002. Named after singer John C. Birgison's baby niece, Sigur Ros reside in Reykjavik, Iceland, but might as well be from Neptune. Their otherworldly soundscapes sound utterly alien, though there are some recognizable elements of Talk Talk Cocteau Twins in My Bloody Valentine. At least if they were blitzed out of their minds on frozen peppermint schnapps strapped to a whale that's constantly emerging and submerging in the icy Arctic waters. Ironically, there are similarities to Radiohead's Kid A, though Sigur Ros beat them to the punch on their 1997 debut Von. One might think a lot of techno trickery is involved, but it's all organic guitars, violin bows, sticks, and skin. Even their keyboards are built of wood. Ágætis byrjun, a good start, marks a flare in the western pop firmament that hopefully will not be a fluke. Here is a band whose vocalist sings in a made-up language in a high-pitched androgynous voice, whose songs are glacially paced and crushingly melancholy, yet manages to sound oddly uplifting without any ironic self-consciousness. A lesson well learned from countrywoman Björk. And judging from the healthy creative atmosphere in Iceland, such as the Kitchen Motors Collective, there will be more pleasant surprises to come. From Dressib, September 21st, 2002, while their debut went virtually unnoticed / disregarded / discarded, the first song from this album to hit the airwaves in Iceland, Flugufrelsarinn, signalled a new dawn in the Icelandic music scene. The scene was filled with a few well-known and well-to-do and scores of obscure but very interesting alternative bands competing in a setting ruled by less than innovative rock-pop bands and a few fossilized troubadours. Now everybody from the teeny pop fan to the hardcore rock fan picked up Sigur Ros's sleeper rock album, Ágætis byrjun, from the CD rack and loved it. The album stayed in the top 30 for over 2 years, almost uninterrupted. When you listen to the album, it's not hard to see what all the fuss was about. This is the best Icelandic album ever made. Yes, even better than Björk. I think that those who don't speak Icelandic miss out a bit, but not a lot. But the lyrics are great, the music is just wonderful and hypnotic. They sound kind of like the pop version of Godspeed You Black Emperor, but still with an edge of their own, and still not really pop. The songs play at about 40 to 60 BPM and range from 60 to 10 minutes in length. The sound is usually centered around Jonsi's almost nauseating guitar bowing, supplemented with Hjartað Sveinsson's sweet piano, slow and heavy drums and bass, and Jonsi's loved and hated whale singing. If you have any free time today, go to the nearest music mega store and give this album a spin. Journeyman, October 10th, 2003, Icelandic band Sigur Ros have presented the world's music scene with a style never heard before. With Ágætis byrjun, they present their listener with an array of sounds, muffled piano chords, distorted bowed guitars, echoed orchestras, and hopelandish, an invented language designed to let the listener interpret the song's meanings however he/she wishes. It all makes some very beautiful arrangements, some spectacular, others average, but the album as a whole retains cohesiveness and a sense of solidarity throughout. The opening song, excluding the intro, is Svefn-g-englar, opening with beautiful keyboard chords and echoing winds. It soon continues with lulling sighs from lead singer John, whose unique voice often sounds neither male nor female, adding to the music's otherworldly atmosphere. It doesn't take long to realize how different Sigur Ros are from your everyday chill-out electronica music. The imagery they create is astonishing, considering the fact that their lyrics are unintelligible. The rest of the tracks all have something a little different to add to the album, while still continuing to present us with the same amount of dreamy composition and alien images. Starálfur is a slightly sad-sounding string-laden song, Flugufrelsarinn, an organ-led mellow arrangement, My Battery, a dark mantra of horns and quiet vocals, and Hjartað, hamast, a jazzy number of harmonica and thumping bass. The band have the helpful knack of knowing when things might start to sound a bit too samey, and therefore add something new to the mix so that the listener is kept interested. This is particularly true with Olsen Olsen, a surprisingly happy and uplifting orchestration of Christmas carol-style singing. An honourable mention also goes to Viðrar til loftárása, which is worth listening to just for those beautiful piano chords. The album ends with Avalon, a tuneless array of backward sounds, which works well enough as a quiet finale. Overall then, album is definitely worth a listen if you're after something different. It's no surprise that Sigur Ros are Iceland's biggest band. They certainly deserve all the praise they get. The music throughout the album is impressive and beautiful, and although it does get a little slow and dull in some places, it always manages to boost itself up to a level to keep you interested. If you feel like you're floating on icy clouds and staring at a beautiful green sunrise, then Gætis byrjun might just be for you. One more, Floyd Wright, April 22nd, 2004. Of the two Sigur Ros albums, I would characterise the Gætis byrjun as the more orchestral of the two, using fuller, more sweeping arrangements. There was also more use of ambient sound effects. It's also, in spite of the darker cover art, the brighter and more optimistic of the two. In fact, I would go so far as to say that this evokes in me the beauty I might imagine in heaven. Yes, there are some dark places here, but overall this is a very comforting work to listen to. Probably Pink Floyd's album Metal is one of the best comparisons, especially to Svefn-g-englar, which seems to have been heavily influenced by Echoes. Although Svefn-g-englar is not an epic on the scale of Echoes, it manages in its own way the same kind of relaxed beauty found in the opening and closing sections of the Pink Floyd song. The classic rock influence is also shown in Sigur Ro's reliance on more traditional instruments, rather than allowing it to be completely synth-driven. The Hammond organ is clearly audible in Svefn-g-englar, and the Rhodes electric piano is featured in Hjartað, hamast. Also, the haunting backdrop common to most Sigur Ros songs is not created by a synth, but instead by an electric guitar laid with a cello bow, John C's voice, rather than conveying any messages. An instrument in and of itself, even higher than Radiohead's Tom York, and perhaps at times even more melodic. While it's all quite good, my absolute favourite tracks, without a doubt, are Starálfur and Hjartað hamast. A gorgeous piano riff in Starálfur serves as the backdrop to a beautiful string section. This is the sort of work with which I would love to be greeted in heaven, especially the final greet of orchestral solo. Hjartað hamast is a very interesting combination between a melancholy-seeming blues-influenced piece and a sequence so beautiful that it evokes a sense of flying. In light of that section, even the more brooding sections no longer seem so dark. Other highlights include the percussion work on batterí and the piano on Viðrar, loftárása, as well as its innovative orchestral outro. The last two tracks seem to move in a less orchestral direction that foreshadows the work on Avalon even takes on a somewhat minimalist approach, not unlike Talk's later work. Lately, this album has even been a comfort in trying to deal with a recent loss. Others' perception of the music may differ, but the overall effect of this album is to uplift. I respect both Gætis byrjun and I must say that this is the strongest of the two. I'm not sure which I prefer of the two, personally. Maybe but maybe that's for another video, isn't it? Again, my friends, I think you will be aware by the close of this video whether you'll enjoy this album or not if you haven't yet listened to it. If you have, I'm not telling you anything new, I don't think. Thanks again.